This is CD4Peace.
While the likes of economic discrimination and sexual harassment affect women in the country, rising anti-feminist sentiment means their physical safety and security are now also constantly threatened. Eugene, a feminist who has protested before with Hale, recalls how in 2019 she was followed by one or two men on her way to a protest. Women attending protests are often forced to wear masks, sunglasses, and caps to conceal their identity and evade surveillance. This is Samantha, and welcome to the 4 Minutes for Peace podcast series. In this episode, we will be delving into another aspect of what we work here at CD4Peace, which is cultural diversity. Stay tuned to know more about the rise of anti-feminism in South Korea's political scene. South Korea has witnessed an anti-feminist backlash, a backlash that has now appeared to have aided in the victory of the People's Power Party candidate Yoon Suk-yeol. In 2017, President Moon Jae-in campaigned on a promise of becoming a feminist president, promoting gender equality policies. Such efforts to alleviate gender inequality gained greater attention following South Korea's own Me Too movement, which emphasized women's lived experiences such as dealing with new age technology and increasing occurrences of femicide. Yet the rise of feminist discourse quickly sparked a backlash. Conservative pundit and current chairman of the conservative PPP, Lee Jun-seok, described feminism under Moon's Democratic Party as having a totalitarian tendency. In 2021, Lee called for the abolishment of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, claiming that it's biased against men. Unfortunately, the retaliation against feminist movements have only continued to increase. At an August 2021 High demonstration, the president of the New Men Solidarity Movement, a misogynic website with approximately 360,000 subscribers, mobilized their followers to harass protesters. Women were filmed without permission, accosted with murder threats, and chased with water guns that they fear may have been diluted with semen because of previous such attacks. According to Kim Joo-hee, founder of Hale, Korea is a country with a long history of male supremacy that favors boys and aborts a large number of girls, which she says has naturally spurred a brutal patriarchy. But misogyny perpetrated by young South Korean men today seems to diverge from the traditional sexism that emphasizes stereotypical gender roles. This difference can perhaps be partially attributed to how social media networks shape South Korean society. In South Korea, 87% of the population uses some form of social media, which is 80% higher than the global average of 49%. Misogynistic grievances have festered online and led to the creation of vehement anti-feminist groups. A 2018 report by Marc Enzo, a gender policy researcher at the Korean Women's Development Institute, surveyed 3,000 men and found that the older generations thought women needed to be protected, while young men see women as competitors to overcome who have unfair advantages. Policies intended to tackle the wage gap, like incentivizing the private sector to hire more women, also make young Korean men, who have a higher unemployment rate than other age and gender groups, feel that they're being discriminated against. Young men also feel like they lose out when it comes to the housing market. But range of these social inequalities has been misdirected. Despite the prevailing misogynic attitudes, a 2017 report found that Korean women earn only 63% of what men earn, the highest gender pay gap of all OECD countries. Women, and especially feminists, are what anti-feminists diagnose as the root cause of Korea's ills. Even asking for women's rights to freely decide their appearance outside of the traditional image of women in the patriarchal system is considered a reaction against men, says Joo-hee. The reality is that they call it male hatred, not feminism. A lot of males, particularly those in their 20s and 30s, believe that abolishing the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family will bring about the end of feminism in Korea, says Hae-in. However, she explains if this happens, it will usher in a stronger, new era of feminism in Korea.
"4 Minutes for Peace", podcast produced by CD4Peace, Cultural Diversity and Sustainable Development for Peace, organization established in Geneva since 2018.